Yeah. Woohoo. We
Little
got
red
two thumbs
box.
ups already because we are
Nice.
just that awesome.
Yeah.
Hey, hey, hey. Good evening, good afternoon, good night. We are what it says right there. That is who we are. And if you are listening to us, it reads the Melanated Council because that is who we are.
Mhm.
And if you are listening and not watching, then you would not have seen me put up the next sign. I guess, like, I don't know what else to call it. A sign, sure. Listeners know what a sign is. And it reads that we stream every other Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern Time and 6 p.m. Pacific Time.
Ooh, ooh.
And wherever you are in the world and we are streaming and it seems like we're live, like, if you comment and we respond live, then that is the time we stream because we are live. And we are extra live tonight because we are celebrating our 4-year anniversary of streaming.
Ooh. Woo!
Yes,
Four.
the big
Yes.
four. And, 4 years is really big, especially in leap years, which is how we count. So, which,
Hmm.
which,
Hmm.
oh, wait, four times
That
four
is
is,
true.
yes, yes, we count in leap years. Every time we stream, it is a new year, a new 4 years, like this year, which is a leap year.
Oh
Yes.
man.
Yes. Hey, Rocky. Yes, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Hey, what's going
Yeah.
Thank
on? What's going
you.
on?
Yes, we
Thank
wouldn't
you.
be here without you all, you amazing commenters, because as we say all the time, it would just be us three talking to each other, which would be a good, a good time. Like I would, we enjoy talking to each other, but there would be a lot of just awkward pauses, awkward silences. And of course, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell if you have not already, so you know exactly when we go live. Yeah. No, thank you. Once again, thank you all so much for supporting us these past 4 years. This is a two-parter episode of, just celebration because everything's better in twos. Yeah. So tonight we are celebrating, and then we're also going to be celebrating in the next stream, which will be in June, which is a little bit closer to our actual 4 year because we started
Hey.
at the very end of May. Yes. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Toby, do you remember the exact day that we started, like around?
I think it could have been the 25th. I just remember that it was the very last Tuesday of May, and the George Floyd, like the murder that was caught. I mean, that whole thing happened
Hmm.
on Monday because it was Memorial Day. Um, Now we didn't really have time to react to it in real time, just because we already sort of had this whole launch. Um, and so I remember that
Hmm.
we had the stream on Tuesday, like the day after that incident happened, and then there was like another sort of special stream we did like Thursday, which may have also still been in May. So I think it could have been the 25th, 26th. I feel like the 25th is the date that comes to mind, but I would have to look at the exact calendar. Um, which actually I can find here. The 26th looks like it was the last Tuesday of 2020, May
Mm,
2020.
Mm.
okay, okay. Sometimes I think about when we were starting and when we were planning everything out. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, like there used to be, like when we're part of, I mean, the group chat still exists, but it's not as active anymore, the Twitter group chat, when we
Mm.
were the Melanated Council of Yang.
Right. Right.
Yeah, and there was more of us if you were to go all the way back, because you can do that on YouTube now. You can, I guess, sort to the very beginning now. so
Mm-hmm.
like, yeah, there was quite a few of us, and I remember just going through things and planning, and it was definitely a lot of fun. But then, of course, life happened. Erica
Right.
Rhodes ran for Congress in her district in California. Um, we had a couple of people. Jeannie was on for a bit, and then he had to go do a whole bunch of stuff. Like, if you follow him on
Mm-hmm.
Twitter, he is getting certified left and right in like cloud computing, cloud engineering. He's learning Spanish, I think.
Oh snap!
Yeah, and I think he's getting his master's. He's like finishing that up. Yeah,
Awesome.
so
Nice.
yeah, and he's losing weight. Like, he's been exercising and losing weight too.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
So,
okay.
and so he's just been killing it in every direction.
Right. Big ups to Genie. Yes.
Yes, big ups to Jeannie. No, that's what's up. Trying to think who else was was on for a bit. Like, we've had several people throughout the years. Come on. We've had people running for office. Come on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that was yeah. I guess that was back when we were a little bit more politically involved. I guess we're not so much anymore.
Yeah.
Mm.
Maybe for good reasons too.
Yeah, yeah, I'd say so. For our mental health, that's a huge thing.
Yes. I agree with you. I agree with you because
Yeah,
back in 2020, being on Twitter and having political conversations that if you said the wrong thing would have got heated real quick,
Hmm.
and you're like, how does this even relate to what we originally talked about? And who are you chiming in when you had no idea what we were talking about in the first place? Like, those days of the Twitter Wild Wild West was crazy.
yeah.
No, they were. Hey, thanks, Chad.
Hey, what's up, Chad?
Thanks.
Yeah, what's going on with the
Salute.
YouTube app? What would y'all say is a highlight moment? Um, one of my favorites
Said
is. Oh, what were you gonna say, Ron?
Mhm.
Oh, um,
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
one of my favorites was like like way early on when Roberto Blake was a guest,
Hmm.
because I learned so much from him. And
You're
even
right.
after the stream, there was like, we had a long conversation after the stream, and it was just so much, just knowledge, just and just tips and truths, and just advice. That was the word I'm looking for. Advice that he was giving. Because if there's one thing that I've learned from Roberto Blake, is that there is money to be made out there.
True.
Yeah, like, there is money to be made, and if you have a skill, definitely try to monetize that skill in some form. Granted,
Right.
there is a fine line between just hobbies, because sometimes you just need your hobbies that don't you know like that you're just not behind a camera, not tweeting about or posting stuff on Instagram about. You just like reading a book or playing video games or having conversations with your friends. So it's just kind of So it's just kind of nice to, have those hobbies. But, that I'll never not think of things that I could possibly do that I could possibly make money off of. That's just something that I'm always thinking about because, you know, if there's a way to make some kind of passive income or just mildly active, rather, some not too difficult income, that's just where I want to be. One of my goals for this year actually is to try to make some kind of extra money outside of my job. I mean, and also just outside of like interest from like, Robinhood or Roth IRA or high yield savings account. Just like, from actually doing something and getting like some kind of money. That's one of my goals for the year. Yeah, that's me.
Let's see, highlight moment. Um, Dr. Jermaine Johnson just randomly popping in the stream just to say what's up.
Yeah.
And I think the cool thing was when he popped in and he was smoking on a pipe.
Yes.
Because members in the House of South Carolina was acting a whole entire fool. He was like, listen, I'm just trying to chill and hang out with y'all because these folks over here. And even then, like just him just randomly just popping up just to say, hey, like those are like really good highlights. Like, hey, like I know this person.
Right.
Just because he came on and had a blast. It was always a good time when he was in the house. Always a good time conversating. And even then, knowing that he was like, yeah, I can't stay too long because this is going on. But yeah, it's good to see y'all. Like, it's good to see you too, sir.
Yeah, it's always great to see him.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I am so happy we got him in. Yeah. I remember he said that he was the first person in his district where he got donations from all 50 states.
Yeah.
Nice. Yes. Yeah.
So that goes to show that people really wanted him in. I don't know if it was already a Democrat led district or if it flipped Democrat for him. I don't remember.
I believe it was a Democratic candidate.
Okay.
Like an older person, maybe even like up in their 80s or 70s, someone who was like been there for quite some time.
Yeah. Yeah, so that goes to show just how important, local elections are and just, getting the right people in there. For sure. Like that's insane. Definitely one of my favorite highlights was like when everybody was on. I remember one time, yeah, like it was one of our anniversaries. I think it was like number 2, and everybody came on, and then Mish, because like I guess one of us like highlighted the comment that somebody posted, and Mish was like, "Wait, who did that?" It's like everybody's here.
Yes. Yes.
Remember.
No, definitely Roberto is the GOAT. But Toby, what is your highlight moment?
Yeah, I'm thinking it's kind of hard to say one thing. I feel like there's just been so much stuff that's happened. I mean, I definitely liked, Roberto Blake. That was definitely an interesting episode. A lot of passion, especially like afterwards, like in the studio or whatever. We just talked, and it was late, and it was definitely like 1:30. I think you may have even dropped off, Ron. It was just like you, me, L, and it was like, all right, at some point we do have to go because it was like, it was good though. Like, I was really enjoying like everything. I was like, man, we're gonna be here quite literally all night. And so that was definitely something that stuck out to me. It was just like that chance to sort of hear his perspective on politics. Of course, the economy was what he was sort of saying, the main topic of the stream, but just everything. I'm like, okay, that was cool. I know there was like a crypto thing with I think Whispering Eyes might have been one of his names.
Oh yeah.
Joe Schmo. I can't remember his name actually, but
Oh, yeah. Call him Crypto Joe.
Crypto Joe. Yeah, yeah. And so that was definitely cool. Yeah, the 2 year anniversary where a bunch of people came on, that was actually very nice. Even like throughout the month having different people on. Like I remember there was B, is her name B Julia?
Yeah.
And she had been on before that too. Of course, Chad. I know Chad. You were like when Rocky was on. Well, Chad, you being on obviously is a highlight. Jokes about swirling glasses of wine. I don't ask why I have this at the ready, but it's empty. So, so yeah, I remember that was cool. There were some cool guests that we had on, like things that I didn't like that kind of came together relatively quickly. Like my friend Nicole, who was like the VP for the NAACP in Providence, the Providence Rhode Island branch. And I thought that was kind of cool because there were some, legitimate disagreements about strategy, even in like Florida, for instance, and that what the NAACP was doing there. And it was kind of nice to kind of just see in real time difference is an opinion on that. And actually, speaking of guests, I remember when Erica and Jeannie came on one time, we were talking about like local politics. This was still relatively early in the grand scheme of things because it was probably like October of 2020. And at that point, the two of them had been off. Erica, because of course she was running for Congress, and Jeannie was kind of on that path to greatness. I mean, he was already doing like his own thing, and he was always like great. But like I think at that time, he was really building what he wanted to for like all this. Like I hadn't kept up honestly with everything, especially on Twitter. Like that's just a no-go zone for me for the most part. So it's kind of cool now. It's like, yeah, all these years later, people have really manifested what they wanted to. But there was one day where like we posted in that Twitter chat, and next thing you know, the two of them came on, like they were in the backstage, and they were like, I heard y'all talking about local elections. And so they came on, gave a little impassioned speech, and then dipped. And I was like, that's awesome. Like y'all just really like showed up because there was a topic that you thought was important enough. And it was cool. I was like, y'all graced us with your presence, and it was nice. Because they were both pretty busy. And so I do remember that. Yeah, there's a whole lot of different things. I mean, Mish even, I would say, 'cause I know Mish definitely. It's always great when we can see them. And when Mish would clip certain things, like I think I took a shot at Henny, which if you guys weren't there for that, then that's all fine. You don't need to necessarily go and find that clip. But there was a clip of me swallowing my words when I took a shot of Henny, and it backfired a little bit. So,
Yep.
and yeah, there were just like nice little moments. All the little jokes, the fridge, which doesn't come up as much, but the logo is based on the smooth Toby the Smooth.
Yeah.
Demon Time. Oh man, that was a different time.
Right.
All the demon times. I guess I've chilled out since then, but or something. Moving home has centered me. That's what it is.
Yeah, no, moving home kind of does that. Yeah, that's the annoying part.
But I think it's all good changes. It's all good changes for the most part. So
yeah, no, like we've definitely gone through a lot. Cause like I was just thinking how like when we started in 2020, my mom was still living with me, and I was like doing like like I was doing the stream from my room on my bed, and I remember after the streams I would just keel over because like my back was hurting so bad. Yeah. And then I moved to the living room. I was like, why wasn't I streaming from here before? I guess because I just wanted to give my mom her privacy, but she doesn't need the whole house. So she has her room. She can be as loud as she wants in her room. But it was, yeah. Like, yeah, I remember, yeah, your first place, Toby, with the fridge in the background because you were in the kitchen. Yeah.
Stream kitchen on the kitchen island.
Yeah. And you were living alone in that place, right?
Yeah, yeah. It
Yeah.
was my first apartment um in Massachusetts, and it was, I guess, my first time living alone for an extended period of time. Really, maybe ever. Because even during my summer internships, I usually had roommates.
Mm. How did you like
If
living
not for the
alone?
whole summer, then at least
Oh.
it was nice. No, it was definitely nice. Like I wouldn't say I have any. I mean, there's like maybe things where like it could be nice to have some company. It could be nice, maybe like you can kind of just like things can kind of fall to the wayside, and it's just you that it's on you to take care of everything. But to be
Mm.
honest, it was fine. Like there's still a lot that's managed for you. It was a property managed place, so there was a lot of things that were kind of easy to check. A lot of nice things about the apartment itself. There was a lot of good perks. Tea and coffee in like a big room. There was even an arcade. I never figured out how to use that. I didn't really care that much, but there were like arcade tables. I would say tables that because it wasn't like arcades. Like I don't know. Like there were like certain type of tabletop games like skee ball um probably air hockey. Actually, if there was air hockey, there probably if I probably would remember because I actually do like air hockey. But there was like other tabletop games. There was like some arcade thingy, and then there was like a bunch of TVs. I remember I would go to that room a lot whenever political things would go down because like I could watch the screens, and there would be, of course, like election results being announced. So that was kind of my go-to place where sometimes if I just wanted to go and see like what was on TV, like I wouldn't watch TV there just regularly, but if it's like okay, it's a certain Tuesday because a lot of primary election days were Tuesdays, which is what's so funny too about our stream. By complete coincidence, we chose Tuesday, and
Mm-hmm.
then whenever there would be certain election things, it would invariably come up in our own conversations, and people in the chat, of course, would mention certain things about certain election results. So it was an interesting place. It was even though I lived alone, there was like a lot of you could find people. I didn't necessarily make a lot of friends necessarily in the units, but you would see people walking their dogs indoor and outdoors. You would see people with kids, whatever. So you know, it wasn't like super super lonely. And the next apartment complex I lived in, I was also by myself, but I had more people over then. And then similarly, it was a complex that had not nearly as many perks, but there was a pool. And so, which again, that kind of birthed, I think I think where some of the Toby, the smooth mythology was birthed from the pool parties and
Yeah,
the
because like you just like threw a pool party kind of suddenly, and then you said like somebody like what like famous or kind of famous showed up.
wait,
It was like a it
wait,
was like an Afrobeats
Yeah, that is
artist or
right.
something, like a local Afrobeats artist. Like,
oh, I think there was a okay. Wow, if you're talking about who I think you are, there was someone who had like maybe at one point it was only like maybe around 17K followers. Then I think they had 50. So actually now they have to be in the 100 plus K. But this is someone who I'd never really heard on the radio. They just happened to be my Uber driver one time in 2019, and then years later somehow we reconnected because I was like, wait, you're in the same mutual crowd that I wasn't in. I wasn't in this crowd of like a lot of these African people in this community near where I lived. Ironically, I was always going to Boston. Well, it's not really ironic. It makes sense. Boston's the major city, but it was like almost 40 minutes away. But the irony is that I lived 5-10 minutes from this other small city. It wasn't huge, but it was like kind of an old industrial mill town. Where have we heard that story before? Now it's like kind of it's changed, right? And you're kind of people are looking more for economic opportunities. Maybe some of it's low income, and so I was like, this is actually interesting to see like an old mill town in real time. That like, and people kind of would claim that it was like a scary place. It honestly was not that bad. Like compared to some other parts of Mass, it really wasn't that bad at all. It had
mm,
its elements maybe, but like it was a pretty fun place to be. And so I remember there was this guy. I don't know if he lived there or like he just knew a lot of people, and he was because again, he was Nigerian, and there were a lot of other Africans in the area. So when I don't remember exactly how I found this guy OTK, and I was just like, wait, I remember meeting you like 3 years ago. Like you were my Uber driver, blah blah blah, and then we kind of reconnected a little bit. So that guy showed up, but that's funny if I even mentioned him because, I mean, yeah, he was like he had a lot of followers or whatever, but like he wasn't someone that people would really know. Even I didn't, because I don't think he really does stuff really in the country. He knows people more outside, so it wasn't like he kind of had been building up a fan base here that I knew of. But I should check in on him and um, see what's good. Wow,
Yeah.
that was a different time because I must have really clued y'all in on a lot of the play by play of some of the things. And sometimes people would randomly pop in and just be like, "Hi, I'm Toby's friend," and just be like,
Yeah. Like in the comments. Yeah. I
"Yeah,"
like
in the
that.
comments, yeah, yeah. So there was definitely a lot of good music scenes you're going to, plus the situation. So, Chad, the very specific music scenes I was going to. Wait, that you're talking about that helped birth the this mythology. Um, but yeah, definitely the situationships. I mean, I think some of those were more of a joke. There were some interesting things that had happened. Not nearly as many at that time. I feel like if any situationships happened, it was actually in the years or year after I left that spot. While I was there, I mean, there was more of like I don't know. I think there was like one that I was involved in, but it was much more low key to be honest. And
Yes.
there's just sometimes people who allegedly, yeah, that's a good word for
Yes.
everything. Yeah, but that's me. Memory Lane's kind of fun actually because there's just so much life stuff, and I feel like we've shared with each other a lot of life things. Like, of course, you, L, having your mom live with you. There's like a lot of things where we just kind of knew each other as not like you're the person whose mom lives with you, but it's like there's just certain things that's just how it is, right? That's just how
Right.
life is. That's not
Yeah.
we didn't know anything about your life before that. But now it's like, oh yeah, we actually all have gone through things, and a lot of the things we weren't in the situation years before. Like if you had met me before, I may have still been in grad school. Or I might have been. Like it's just like it's so interesting. Like it's kind of not super profound, but like we have that first impression of where we were, but like we all came from another place in life, and we continue to grow. I mean, Ron, you're a parent, and you know you're gonna still be a parent, and but things are gonna change there too. Like you're gonna have a different
Yes.
dynamic with older children,
Mm.
um, and I don't know. It is just interesting because we don't necessarily see all the change in real time, but looking back, even in 4 years, which isn't that long of a time, but it's still enough that quite a lot has happened, and we
Yeah.
can look at very different situations that have passed.
No, I've learned that 4 years in kid time is a long time because like when Ron was saying how like he was looking at colleges with his oldest, I'm like, wait, what? Because it's that time. Because how old is he now?
Yeah.
16?
17.
17. Jeez.
Yeah. 17.
Whoa, okay.
17. And even then, just to kind of give context to everybody, especially to what Elle was saying, like 4 years ago, he was getting ready to go into high school. He was still in middle school at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And so, with him being a junior in high school, now looking at colleges and getting ready to start driver's training soon, working now. Like he's been doing a lot. He had a track meet up in Byron Center, which is a closer to Grand Rapids, but not super close. But that track meet was geared towards individuals who were looking at getting a scholarship to the University of Michigan
Mm.
for running track, or not necessarily running track, but doing field events too as well. So he did very well. He did very well.
Nice.
I know the high school the boys' high school team overall, from what I've heard, they took first place out of how many
Nice.
schools? Probably a good chunk.
Okay.
Nice.
So I'm proud of them.
Yeah.
I'm proud of them.
Me too. And I've
Good. That's awesome.
yeah, no. I feel like we're all proud of him, and like,
Mhm.
2/3 of this of this stream have never met him.
Yeah, it normally he'll pop in like normally if he's not
Yeah.
peering around my shoulder on while I'm live, he'll normally pop in either through YouTube or Twitch. And
Okay.
if he's not popping in on those two, normally he'll say something in the Discord, and you won't hear him. You won't hear from him for a great while until he decides to post something again.
Yeah. Like when I mentioned the whole
Very
Kendrick Lamar, like Drake beef, he just popped in. I was like, wait, who is this?
interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, 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 yeah. He's been around pretty much for the beginning of this journey, which you know it never ceases to amaze me, especially like the early months when we first
Mm.
got streaming. Oh my goodness, you talking about like 10-year-old the 10-year-old computer trying to manage like 10 people on the screen,
Uh,
and then it then freeze in like real life time. Like, hey, he's talking, but like his screen ain't moving. Is everything okay? Like, mm-hmm.
that's right. And from what I remember, you actually got like I'm pretty sure that we had like crowdsourced the ability,
Yes.
like getting an actual good like a computer that was going to be dedicated for, or at the very least, just like a newer computer which would be used. So I thought that was actually pretty awesome. Was like people believed in
Mm-hmm.
us from early on, and they're just like, yeah, get that man. It's like, don't mind me. Like I've been on a bit of a Marvel streak, so it's like Black Panther, like somebody get that man a shield, and he's like, for in this case, referring to getting you a
Right?
working
Yeah.
computer. So
Yeah.
all of Wakanda came together and got a
Yes.
working computer.
Mm.
Yes. And even then, like it's currently the same computer that I'm pretty much streaming on or using.
Mm.
For that fact of the matter, it's the same one, and it's done very well. It's done very well. So
Hmm.
shout out to, um, sheesh, I would say the Yang Gang. Really, it,
Yeah.
it was it was it was really the Yang Gang because a lot of them were coming in. Um, like Elle was saying, like Toby was saying, they believed in the work that we were doing, and understanding like in order for us to actually um, hold down the fort when it came to a lot of the behind the scene things and whatnot, like needed something that was going to be able to not only deal with behind the scenes stuff, but to also to help streamline a lot of the times we were streaming too. So
Mm.
it worked out great. It worked out fantastic.
Yeah. No, like that came. That laptop came at the right time.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. Definitely, definitely. And even then, I mean, because even when um we were talking about it and everything else, like of course a lot of people want to catch flack, like, hey, you don't need this one, you just need this one, you need that, like, but you don't understand, like, there's a lot that has to be done. Like, there's a lot. during the time creating the flyers.
Mm-hmm.
Making sure the flyers were good and great, and just having a lot of the backup storage for those flyers. So just in case, if for whatever crazy odd reason something happened, we lose a flyer, we could go back into the archives and get that flyer back.
Mm-hmm.
Just a lot of the small, simple stuff that was actually needed. And even then, like I was saying before too, like from that time moving on forward is like slowly but surely been upgrading like little small pieces for myself, and it's been great. The journey has been great. It's been awesome. And even then, with me talking to Elle and Toby, like we're really just wanting to do even more.
Yeah.
Right.
No, for sure. And yeah, like it's like even though like we definitely want to do more, and it could just be kind of hard.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Mm-hmm.
like we've
Mm-hmm.
been, like just trying to figure out like the best course of how to just, you know, get better, but no, it'll definitely happen.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I can't wait.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, same. Just, as the kids say, life be lifing.
Whew, man. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, this month, this past couple of weeks have just been like rough for me personally.
Mm.
Hey, it
Oh
is.
snap! Look at that.
Oh
Right,
snap!
we
Hey
mentioned you too.
yo!
They
We mentioned
Yes.
you
Hold
too.
on.
May or may
yes.
not have been good things. May or may not have been talking crap. Now, of course, it was always good stuff. So it was
Right.
great that you popped in for a very wonderful anniversary.
Yes.
Got you.
And
The Mish, the myth, the legend.
Yeah.
that is fantastic.
Yes. Yeah, no.
Yes. Agreed. Definitely agreed.
Mish has been with us since day one. Like
Yes.
there were some streams, especially at the very beginning, where it'll just be us three and Mish, and we would just be hanging out talking. uh, yeah, so no, like, and Mish is the reason why we do the heart,
Mm-hmm.
because Mish would have these emojis. That was the hearts, like with the hands. So that's why we always put up the heart. Yes.
Massive lag on my own.
And
Yes.
yes.
Okay, good.
Yeah. And we love Mish. Like we truly, like, we really do. Mish is, if anybody said, like, talks ill of Mish, it's on site. Like like meet me in the KFC parking lot. Exactly. No, it's on site.
Standing on straight business.
Right.
Nothing left.
I haven't thought of the island in so long.
Gosh.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Just
Yes.
yeah. Yeah, I guess because I have a boyfriend now, I can no longer imagine my island.
Oh. Oh gosh.
There's only one thing worse than being talked about, and that's not being talked about. That is true.
Mm.
Hey, there they are. The classic emojis.
Yes.
Hey,
Yes.
look at that. One half of a heart.
Yes.
Oh, this is
Aw.
Fight me in the Waffle House. That's crazy.
Fight me in the Waffle House.
parking lot. Oh, that's wild.
Like, hey, can I get my waffles to go? I'm about to scrap with somebody real quick.
Right, yeah, no. Like,
That's
they're
probably something they used to are way ahead of you, my guy. Like they already got the option because they know that people are getting ready.
And look at what Mish just said. That's what
Yes.
he said to me.
Oh no!
Oh, yes.
Clipped by yours
Yeah.
truly.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
God, it's so hard to
Yes.
really point.
Oh my gosh. You were
Let's have
fighting
it.
for your life, Toby.
Wait, was this referring to?
What's having a boyfriend instead of becoming an adult? Yeah,
Mm-mm-mm.
I know. Who knows? Who knows what the future holds for me? Maybe the island. Maybe the island will come to be one day. Oh my gosh.
I'm done. But, hey,
I just
I'm-
realized, like,
cheers.
yes, cheers. I don't have anything left, but
There you go. No matter. Cheers.
I have love and hope for you guys.
Mm-mm. Ooh, man, almost spit up my coffee. That's crazy. But no, I agree with you, El.
Ooh,
There we
nice.
go.
This
Appalachian.
is non-alcoholic, but my brother gave me or let me drink this earlier. So nice gin. I'd never seen this ginger beer before, but anyway, I just wanted to
Neither have
put
I.
that in and feel special.
I allegedly can't say that with a boyfriend. Yeah, but I was just gonna say that his parents, I guess, know about both my podcast and like this live stream because I did tell him that it's okay to tell them about it. But I don't know. They might be watching. This would be kind of funny.
All of them. Tread lightly.
This was stuff before I met your son, so it's true. This is our
I'm
4-year
done.
anniversary of the stream, so forget the parking lot. They'll be fighting the Waffle House. Kids are right.
Low key, I was thinking something like that. I was like, they might even just fight right there somewhere, like in a dedicated space in the restaurant.
Probably the only place you can get your dinner and a movie in one spot.
Dinner and a show. Yes. Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you. Much appreciated.
yes, definitely. I do want to I do want to say this much too. You know, just thinking back over this last 4 years, I want to give a huge shout out to our viewers, our listeners, our watchers. Even if you guys don't, seriously, you got a point.
I know.
You got a point.
But I
You
share
got a
this,
point.
I share this
For
with
me.
my mom now because she always asks about it. So I just kind of got into the habit of like sharing it whenever I remember. So I don't know if she's watching or not, but yeah. But sometimes it's funny because like she'll try to like message me about like, what I should be doing. And I was like, of course you are, Mom.
Like with a stream or
Yeah. She'd be like, "You're not smiling enough. Why aren't you smiling?" I'm like,
Oh, I'm done. Yeah, I don't know if I could do that.
yeah, but
Ooh, yikes.
no, I feel you. Like, I feel you, Gil. Like, it always just feels cringe. Because I'm like, they were, like, when my boyfriend was in London last month, for a funeral. His grandfather unfortunately had passed away.
Hmm.
Um, because of like where he was, I guess, going from like where he was to London was about a 2 hour drive. So he was driving like his sister and his cousins, and they were like, I guess they wanted to listen to my podcast, and I'm like,
Hmm.
go ahead. I can't control y'all,
Right?
but
Right.
you're not smiling enough on this audio only podcast.
Oh, that's oh, that is true. I didn't even catch that.
Oh, no! Like the live stream. I showed her the link with the live stream, but like, yeah,
Okay. So it was that. That's
right,
okay.
yeah.
Gotcha.
But that would be hilarious if she does that too. But like, she always has to
Oh,
critique something. That's just what my mom does.
Mm-hmm.
yes, gotcha. And I saw me. I was Misha's. I missed that. Literally, Misha's the one that made that comment. This one,
Not smiling
hilarious.
Oh,
enough on this audio only.
Oh, what's
oh, and
this?
me. This is a brand new one. I got two more that I
Oh,
just finished off, probably within
okay.
about a week time span. So, yeah,
Mm, that's for the
it's
whole
okay.
family, right? Yeah.
hmm We normally we have about 5 to 6 on hand at any point in time.
Mm-hmm.
But because of the fact they've been so hard to find refills because everybody is switching away from the tap water and switching away from the bottled water that are actually going to the 5 gallon jugs, it's becoming quite hard to get them. Very much
Mm.
so. And so I remember the one time we were at the grocery store, I think we had like 7. And the lady was like, "Wow, you guys drink a lot of water." We're like, "We got a house full of athletes. Like, that's all we drink is water." And she's like, "Really?" I'm like, "Yeah." I'm like, "We've been doing this ever since we were living in Colorado Springs because we found it cheaper to not only get the jugs and refill them, but the cost of just refilling one of those is equal to maybe you buying 4 or 5 cases to pretty much get the same thing." And she said that she thought about it. She said, "Yeah, we buy water a lot." She said, "But she's like, how much does it cost for one of those to get filled up?" Like, oh, like if Meyer, that's pretty much the one of the regional grocery stores chains here in Michigan. Like, yeah, if Meyer has it, normally to exchange is like $6, right?
Hmm.
And so we do that for like 6 of them. Yeah, we're paying just under $40, to make sure we have water for about a good month. Versus if you were to buy like a 20 pack of water, and those are running like $7 themselves. You see how it kind of adds up over time. And she sat there and she was like, "Yeah," she's like, "That's really smart."
Mm-hmm.
And I told her, like, we normally go through a gallon, like one of these 5 gallon things. We normally go through one a week. And that's on a pretty much a good solid day. We normally go through one a week. Sometimes we could push it out for like 2 weeks until we're actually switching out to get new ones. And
Mm.
Hmm.
so it really does save a lot of money. It saves a lot of money. Even though this is not the one we got from we were living in Colorado Springs, we had to sell that one. But we found this one here in Michigan when we first moved into the to this house that we're in now. We found that one for like a steal. Found that one for a steal. We're like, yep, we're gonna go back to doing what we did best, and we haven't looked back since then.
Mm.
No, you didn't. No, you didn't. I love it. I love it.
Thank you.
That's
Yeah,
good.
he said. Mish said they're drinking from the tap water like a scrub. I was like, scrub is a guy who thinks he's hydrated.
Oh
Oh
yes, I
man, yes. No,
love it. I love
I
it.
will say this too because I know the tap water here in my city is terrible. Oh, it's terrible.
Yeah.
Even with the water, yes. Like the city told the city said, "Hey, everybody, because the water is bad, we're giving everybody free um, water filtration systems that you can put on your sink." Like, okay, cool, great. But the problem is because of the fact the water has a bunch of lead and other like hard minerals and substances in it, we pretty much even with the water filtration system added onto the sink, it's still very much bitter. Very much bitter. It's like,
Mm.
thanks. We see what you're trying to do, going the cheap route, but you need to replace the pipes. Like you're gonna have to replace the pipes sooner or later because a lot of these homes around here, they're old, and I do mean like 50, 60 year old homes who probably have old lead pipes and a lot of that lining is coming out, so it's no good.
Mm. Yeah, true.
Hmm.
No, I don't know. Like the water situation in Michigan, like the fact that it's still bad for this long.
Hmm.
Like, isn't
Yes.
like Miss Flint going to college or something? Like, or is she still in high school?
Mm. I think she's getting up there close to graduate. Because I didn't think I really knew who she was at the time, but then I was seeing people post stuff about her. She was retweeting stuff, or people retweeting her, and then I was like, oh snap, okay, she was really this little kid. Now she's like high school. I think she was like 16. She could very well be 17 or 18 now. For sure, she costs money.
Hmm.
Wow. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Hmm.
Yeah. Too many years have passed.
Yes, and I was going to say too because Chad, he's correct because even still now Flint is still dealing with the water crisis, and I think I watched a news video or news article on TV, and they're finally like replacing the pipes, even though the damage was already done over 10 years ago, 20 years ago. They should have been done. And
Mm-hmm.
they're like, there's still people who are suffering who are drinking from the water out of Flint. And like, one grandparent said, like, her grandbaby pretty much can't play any sports, can't even be a kid because they're so afraid that if said kid falls and hurts himself, he's gonna break his bones or bones because the bones is brittle, very very brittle, very brittle.
That's what lead does.
Oh, whoa.
Oh my, yeah. Actually, I wasn't even sure what. I just know it's very bad for you, and like you shouldn't
Hmm.
like that. It shouldn't be in the water like that. But
Yeah,
yeah.
I knew like
yeah,
brain damage is the big thing, right? Exposure to lead. But yeah, I didn't know about the bones and the physical structure as much. Just poisoning,
hmm,
of course. There's gonna be some kind of poisoning, but yeah, I never was really as hip to what it actually does. But I think I've also been kind of maybe privileged that I just haven't been in an area where either I've had to deal with it as much or like I mean we all deal with like public systems, right? But I feel like I don't know, like it just seems like more of like a detached thing. Like yeah, I just have my water coming from a filter or into the whatever or I don't really drink a lot of bottled water unless I'm at events, but it's just like you don't necessarily think about like especially like if you're thinking like in schools where you have like water fountains in schools. I mean, I'm definitely not using like public water fountains just because I'm not in areas where I would really need to as much.
Mm-hmm.
hmm,
So
hmm.
I think that's like a huge thing where it's like you were saying, if I'm understanding you correctly, that you knew someone who's like had someone in their family, or you knew someone directly who had exposure to lead and then their bones became brittle and like that could happen. I don't know if you knew the cause, but like if it's really from like the public water fountains or from public water systems like that, it's much more real for you. Um, and so sometimes I forget, like, yeah, people really deal with a lot of that, not in the abstract, but um, as a very real part of life. If the water systems are messed up, if people aren't fixing what they need to fix, or there's just people looking the other way, then it's going to affect people who rely on those water systems. I mean, I'm sure people even who use water out their faucet, even if you have a filter, it's still going to be too damaged. Um,
Hmm.
so that's kind of crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what though is true. I think the one I think the one time when we were living out in Colorado Springs and we were drinking out the water fountain, we tasted water. We're like, "Oh, this water is gross. It just tastes weird." And a lot of locals like, "No, you should really drink that. Like, why? Like, you're literally drinking a lot of that mountain water, and the way how that mountain water is collected, it already goes through its own filtration process. So the only thing you're really getting is a lot of the nutrients and the minerals that your body needs." And so we're just kind of looking at them like, yeah, whatever. So we went to this place called Manitou Springs. It's on the west side of Colorado Springs, and they have a water fountain that flows down, and so it pretty much keeps going. It doesn't stop because it's being fed directly from the mountain itself to this specific water fountain, and you can taste the difference. And at first, it's kind of like, it's bitter, but after a while, you get used to it to the point where it's like, you know what? Okay, I can taste the difference. I can taste the difference of getting like a mineral enhanced water bottle versus a naturally mineral infused water, and it tastes better.
Mm-hmm.
And the locals they swear by it. They were like, yeah, we will swear by it. We won't drink anything else because we know what we're getting, and we know that a lot of it, yeah, you know, is not everybody's favorite thing to drink, but it is pretty much good for you. Like, all right. Mind you, we're not just talking about like, those people who are like 20, 30 years old. No, we're talking about people who are like 50, 60, 70, 80 years old who lived in the same area for like generations. And that's pretty much all they do. And so, like, all right, we'll take your word for it because you've been around long enough. You've been living here long enough, so you know the difference. All right.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. Anyway, I forgot that you're referring to Colorado Springs. Sorry, it's popping up. I forgot that you're
Mm-hmm.
referring to Colorado Springs because you have been in a few different places, and so literally Colorado Springs. It's has its name for that as a reason, and the mountain water. I have heard people talk about mountain water, but I mean, I've never really lived in an area like that. Or I guess I just haven't really like. I guess I've been around like even upstate New York. Saratoga Springs is popular. Same thing in New England. In Saratoga, that's a popular area to hike, though I don't know if it's exactly in mountain ranges, but still, it is interesting for people who live in those areas. Like, is the water pure? Is it more natural? Blah blah blah. Who knows?
Oh yeah, it's cool. It's cool. I say if you guys ever want to visit Colorado, you decide to go to Colorado Springs and take that trip to Manitou Springs, it's worth it. It's definitely worth it. Definitely worth it.
I can't remember if I went to Manitou Springs when I went to Colorado Springs. Maybe? Because I know they're like right next to each other.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think we did. But it's true that, like the water in Colorado is just a lot better. I'm not a coffee person, and even I noticed the difference in quality of coffee. Just like any old run-of-the-mill coffee place you go to, and it just tasted noticeably, like very noticeably better. I was like, oh
Yes.
my God, this is it's like, oh, this is coffee. This is why people like coffee. Okay. Before it was just like, coffee. I feel like I was drinking the IPA version of coffee the whole time, or just like the Bud Light coffee.
Oh, that's right, because you're not a fan of
IPAs. No, they're against.
But it's actually funny because it's very different, though. I mean, I get the reference just to being like you don't like it, so it's the IPA. I think you've heard you say that before too, the IPA of things. But those are like the really strong, actually. Like IPAs are like really strong, with Bud Light is really watery. So it depends on what kind of connotation. They're both, I guess, they both could be bad connotation, but like different meanings. Just to be a little beer nerdy. Just to make sure I get the analogy correct here.
They're both shit, Toby.
Call it what it is. Yes. Yes.
That's crazy.
It's legally beer. Okay.
He says legally beer.
It's legally defined as beer.
That's wild.
Oh, man.
He said literally it's...
Yes. Bud Light is...
Yeah, no, Bud, I'm not... It was only when I wasn't paying for it that I was drinking it during one summer of like 2018. Yeah, that was it. That's the only time you caught me drinking Bud Light. Regular Bud, okay, maybe a little better, but then it's just heavier. Like, it still isn't like great tasting, and then it's just heavier. Like, it makes you more bloated, and it still doesn't taste much better than Bud Light. So I'm like, no. I think anyway, that's a whole nother conversation about beer, and which I don't really drink beer anymore. I used to. That was a whole thing. Like during COVID, I remember I tried all these different. There was the Kirin beer, which is a jutsu Sasuke used. So I was like, haha, this jutsu I've mastered lightning. And it was just a Japanese beer called Kirin. And so I remember drinking a lot of different types of beer during 2020. And oh my gosh, Shola with her Yanging dating, her and I think was it Neil Orta? I don't remember the guy's name. But there were so many good interesting things. So yeah, beer at that point was a pretty heavy influence in my life. But we in a different place now, so I just generally haven't. But no, that was just your analogy to not to hijack your conversation, but your analogy about what coffee was it that you were saying is the Bud Light or the IPA of coffees?
Honestly, Starbucks. I know it's an easy shot to take, but it's true.
It is.
Yeah, Starbucks is disgusting. I know there was this crazy pastor that was saying that they put semen in Starbucks coffee. Whoa. No, they put your hopes and dreams in Starbucks coffee, and then you drink it, and then you piss it out. You're not gonna go further in life if you drink a Starbucks. Sorry, not sorry.
Definitely not sorry.
No.
Whoa.
Definitely not sorry.
No. I went to Starbucks the other day because my internet was acting up and I had work to do. So it was like a Thursday. So I go to Starbucks, it's right down the street, and it's been a long time since I've like been in a Starbucks. So I was just, there, and I feel like everybody there was just, they got their whole personality from Instagram, it seemed. Just
gosh.
how they dressed and how they were acting. Like it was like they it's not like they were talking loudly or anything. It was just how just their mannerisms and everything, and it just seemed so fake. And I'm like, well, yeah, of course, because you're spending like $38 on a coffee. So on crappy coffee that it's just overpriced, and I don't know. I do not know. It just has to be marketing, branding, and convenience. That's it. That's it. It was just people lying to themselves saying that they like Starbucks coffee. That's just like how people lie to themselves that they like IPAs. They don't.
Listen,
They don't.
we're gonna have to have a talk one of these days.
Sheesh. Mm-mm.
No,
Mm-mm.
it's just, people are just
You talking
lying
about
to each
putting
other
air
about
in-
stuff.
Right?
Yeah. But the aesthetic of Starbucks, I understand. Like, it's a cool aesthetic. They definitely got that down pat. And because I like to look at things from like a marketing perspective and just see how people kind of go about. And I noticed where they put those cups, those long cups. Like the Starbucks cups that they sell.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like in a location, and that just seemed to grab everybody's attention in a way. It wasn't really right in front of you, but it wasn't not right in front of you at the same time. And it was like pretty much like where you're going on in your way to order, and then you're just sort of walking around and you kind of land on these cups. And I was like, yo, that's brilliant because people are going to buy these cups, and of course that's where like they put it and everything. But it just seemed kind of weird. I don't know. Starbucks, I don't know.
Starbucks be Starbucks. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for me, I don't pay for stuff. Like I only did it because my last job had a cafe. Same thing with where I went to grad school. They had like a cafe that they didn't call Starbucks, but very much used the language of Starbucks. And it was free. Well, it wasn't free, I guess, in grad school, but it was probably a little bit cheaper. And it was just a nice way to get a good sandwich. And then in where I worked, it became free during COVID, and they kept it even after ruling back free food overall. So I was like, okay, this is actually pretty cool. Let me, you know, go ahead and get myself and I really just care about the tea. I don't really drink coffee like that. So that was nice. And so Starbucks is kind of like the prepackaged. Everything's already. Not when I say prepackaged, I mean like it's very kind of standardized. The way a friend described Panera Bread, she was kind of saying that like you get things because you want it to be exactly, it's very predictable. The portion's what you expect. It's like a very kind of like, I don't know if she's cute, but like there's just a aesthetic to it, right? You get the aesthetic, you get the predictability. It's not necessarily there for the variety. It's just like your pick me up. And I realized, I don't really eat Panera Bread, so maybe there's something in common where it's just like if it's too common of a chain. I mean, like, I'm guilty of eating Chipotle or Chick-fil-A, my goodness. But I think
Hmm.
There's certain things that I've like that I used to be really into that I'm less. Well, okay, Chick-fil-A, I can't even pretend that I don't eat it, but Chipotle compared to how I used to, it's like now I'm like, huh, maybe I don't really eat some of these things or drink some of these things, not because I feel like I'm too like, like, oh yeah, like I'm above it. It's just I don't know, like maybe it's just you get bored of it. That might be kind of where I feel with that. Is like, maybe just coming up bored with with this. Like, actually,
Yeah.
ironically, I don't know the last time I've been inside of a real Starbucks. Like, it might be fun to actually go to one just to like see,
Right.
because I haven't actually been inside of like an actual standalone Starbucks, and who knows how long. Like seriously, I can't remember. Even for my birthday reward tour that I always do, I haven't been able to successfully use the Starbucks um, for those, and so I'm like, huh, who knows? Who knows when I've been in one of these? But yeah, that consistency is key. Yes. Oh my gosh, I was just seeing a clip about Red Lobster, and they're all. I guess they had all you can eat shrimp, and or like half, yeah, and something, and then I guess they actually lost a ton of money from it.
Yeah.
Um, so that's
I don't
actually
know.
hilarious. It's actually kind of sad, but it's hilarious at the same time.
I don't know if that's why they went out of business. I'm sure that adds to it. But, I mean, Olive Garden's still having their never-ending possible. I think. I actually don't know because once again, I haven't. It's been probably about a year since I went into an Olive Garden, and that was because
Fair.
I was buying food for my nephew. But yeah, it's yeah. No, no, go into a Starbucks just to just to see. I agree. Like, Gil, what did you mean by same thing with no knacks at Marshalls or CVS? Did you mean snacks or like knickknacks? Or like Chipotle used to be down the block if I didn't have anyone else to cook for and I needed some. No, I feel you. I still think about Chipotle. Like I go to Chipotle um maybe once every other month or once every 2 3 months. It's not a bad option for food because you can
Mm.
definitely get like healthier choices. You get like a salad bowl or just brown rice with chicken and like good stuff. But I don't know. There's like just sometimes I guess we just have like that automatic thought pattern of coffee, Starbucks, or need to wake up, Starbucks. Starbucks is on the way. I guess that's consistency. Um,
Mhm.
or no, not consistency, convenience. But so
Yes,
is it
that's a good
is
one.
it like I don't know if I love the consistency of some of these franchises, but is it consistency or is it convenience? Or is it both? Because they needed to create some kind of consistency
Mhm.
in order to make enough money in order to be convenient. I'm not sure it's generational. I don't know. Any young people go right. Yeah, I was thinking that too about like just growing up, and it like because there was people of all ages at the Starbucks, but it was definitely more so young people. And like the Starbucks I went to is like part of a plaza, so there was just like other things to do. So I'm sure people were just kind of out and about, probably shopping or running errands, and decided to go to Starbucks or just meet up at Starbucks with a friend because that's it's like when you're thinking of an option where you just don't want to drink or it's like the middle of the day. It's hard to just think of something, especially if it's like somebody who's in town and they don't know the area. You got to figure out, I was like, okay, what could they, where could we go? What do they want? If we need to get work done, where do we go? Because it was either, for me, it was either Starbucks or like find a brewery where there's Wi Fi. Yeah, because I couldn't really think of anything else that was super duper close. It was like Starbucks, McDonald's, Dunkin' Donuts.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, that was kind of all I could think of where to go really really quick. Both. Consistency and convenience. I went
That's so
bankrupt because of. Oh, what were you
interesting.
saying, Toby?
No, I'm starting to just read Rocky's thing, but that was literally just me reading under my breath. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I went bankrupt because of how private equity restructured the whole business model, made a bunch of changes for short-term gains that were unsustainable. Yeah, that's kind of what always ends up happening. A lot of corporations always just look for short-term gains and never for the long haul because they might lose money at the beginning, but that's always the case with everything.
Hmm.
I don't really know of many like small businesses where they were just making money all throughout. So I don't know. I haven't been to Wells Coffee in a minute. I should. Every time I think about going, I always just think about how they don't really have food there, and that's what really bothers me.
I don't know what else.
It's like it's a local chain in South Florida.
Oh, I see
Yeah,
it. That was okay. That makes sense. Gil's comment. Yeah. Okay.
yeah. They're a great coffee place, though. They do have really good coffee.
That's interesting. Well, yeah. Hopefully, cause I've only been to Florida once for like I was in Orlando in 2018 for a conference, and definitely I didn't really check anything that was local because the conference was pretty inclusive of like food and stuff. But hopefully, when I actually get a chance to visit Florida for real, I can get the deets for like the spots that I really should go to. Um, if I don't know, I mean Miami is the obvious choice, but I know it's not that close to you. Like the kind of pain in the neck you're referring to, where it's like
Yeah, I mean, I will
the
go to visit you, of course. Like,
Mhm.
it's like don't. Yeah, no, don't worry about that. I'll get to Miami. Don't worry. It's just like,
it's more just like for a casual like either date or obviously you're not dating now, but like if you were going to go on dates or like certain I think social events, I think that was maybe more of the context. Um, but I kind of like get it because I just know how it is where it's like when you don't live actually that close to the major metropolitan area, you're like
yeah.
like I'll do it. You're right though because I do it the same thing for friends. Like I just dropped a friend at Dulles Airport, which was definitely it took I think from her place it was an hour and 20 something minutes, and it probably should have been like 40 minutes. But welcome to Saturday traffic. So it's like
Yeah.
one of those things where for a friend, yeah, that's fine. But
Yeah.
if it's me, myself, and I, you're probably not going to catch me going to that place. Or Baltimore is a good example. That's like an hour from me, almost. But if it's like for to visit a friend or if it's like a conference, I'll be there. But okay, cool. And so Gil as well. Um,
Yeah, like and Gil is correct. Like Miami is not far from us. It's just it depends on the day and the time.
hmm.
Like if you wanted me to meet you in Miami at 9 a.m. on a Monday, like I'll go. It's just I have to leave my place at 7:30.
9
So
a.m. I can't even imagine on a Monday.
yeah, if you wanted to meet up on a Saturday at, 10, 11 a.m., that's fine because that would take me, I don't know, like 40, 45 minutes probably. Maybe longer, maybe like 50 at the most, but like that's not too bad. It's just I mean, traffic can always just be iffy, but weekdays in Miami, like, geez,
Mm,
it is. I would have to make a day out of it. I would have to take the day off,
off, yeah.
which is fine. That's totally fine. I don't mind taking a day off and hanging out with you.
I do feel you.
Or I take like the train, possibly one of the
Oh,
two.
so there is. Oh, is that like Amtrak type of?
No, like we have the Tri Rail. It's for
Oh,
the Tri County, Miami, Broward, and Palm Beach. So it goes up
oh,
and down. So it's a it's like a slow commuter train, but it gets the job done.
I see. I'd always thought that there's just like no public transit, like between like unless you're like really like deep in the city or like near a convention center. So that's actually very refreshing to hear because you live more in a suburban area too, from what I understand, right?
Yeah. So I could drive to the train station, or I could technically take the bus to the train station. I could walk to the bus station if I'd. On a beautiful day, it could take me 20. Where in Miami though? Is it Miami Gardens or is it like Miami proper? Yeah, because
Because if Miami is, that might cause a riot. No comment. Um,
Aren't you not just cool? Yeah.
allegedly.
No.
Let me watch my.
Philly,
Yeah,
like
Philly would
Philly.
be cool.
Yeah, Philly is still one of like on my list of places that I would love to move to. Maybe one day eventually. I would totally move to Philly. I've only been there once, but like I just fell in love with the city. I love the size of it. I love like it just seemed very convenient and it didn't seem, like I like that it's close to DC and New York relatively. So if I wanted to drive to DC or New York or something like that, I could do that. I really like that. Miami girls know you're coming. My God's right. True. If
Yeah,
they're
I'm not sure if I'm even ready for all that. I think that's why I've been keeping my distance from Miami because it's a different
oh
breed out. It's a
oh
different
right, I
breed.
forgot.
I don't know if I'm ready.
Yeah, I keep forgetting that Miami is like one of the most gorgeous places on the earth. I think for people.
We're not civilized savages like us here in SoCal. SoCal is part of SoCal. I've heard is I remember when I came into the airport for my conference in Anaheim, which is actually crazy because I don't know exactly where you live, Rocky, but like I basically didn't let anyone know. Like I told people I was going on this conference, but I didn't like explicitly do the best at like letting people know. Like Erica was still there in LA at the time, and she even messaged me on Instagram like you should have told me, and I was like, I know I meant to, but it got so chaotic. What's his name? Quinn. I forget his full name, but he was in the like sort of Blacks for Yang back way back when, like, or at least he was kind of like someone online who would talk just like he was an interesting guy and he lived in the area and he actually helped introduce me. I didn't meet him in person, but he helped introduce me to someone who was going to be at the conference. And so I remember like when I flew into the conference in 2022, it was March 2022, so 2 years ago. It was in Anaheim, but the actual LAX airport. I was like, wow, like it was quite a distance. There wasn't even an option for any public transportation. Like when I came to Atlanta just 2 months ago for the same conference, I actually was easily able to take the metro to and from a hotel, and that was fine. Like it actually didn't take very long. It probably was like 20 minutes. So Atlanta's MARTA is not necessarily known for being the best, but it is really good about getting anywhere within the city. And from the airport, it's very convenient. So I was
Mm.
like, wow, okay, LA, this is what we're doing today. We just don't have a way of getting from LA to Anaheim. That's gross. What's happening here? Oh no. Um, but I was
Oh,
like,
that's
and
like
it was like
80
$80 something dollars. I don't even know. I just know it was very expensive Uber, and I was like, LA, please do better. Now granted, I was there for like 4 days, so I'm not gonna like trash everything, but I was just like, whoa, this is too big in too many areas like Hollywood and all these places to not have like a functional transit system. Um,
hmm
but
Yeah, I mean, Yeah, like we do have public transit, and it's actually not that bad. It's just not convenient. It's like you can actually get to everywhere that you need to go and do everything that you need to do with public transit. It's just, the bus runs every 30 minutes, or, you know, the train runs every 30 minutes, like weekdays, every hour at certain times during the weekends. Yeah. So it's it's good, and like they're usually pretty on time. The bus can be late due to traffic, other people's cars.
Hmm.
They are in the process of I'm assuming finalizing the plans, or at least going forth with creating just designated bus lanes and bus rapid transit in certain parts of Broward County. So I don't know when that's going to be done. Probably like I think in 2050, or maybe 2050 something's happening. I can't remember, but I know 2030 is an important year. I got to look it up. I got to see when the bus rapid transit's gonna. Florida buses and trains is the only thing we can count on. I mean, I don't know. Honestly, like they do help when you're in a pinch. Like if your car is not working, like it is pretty handy. Honestly, I don't know if I would be able to even get to work with public transit. So I looked it up before, and it was like 2.5 hours. So, and there's like and I think there was like a 7 or 10 minute walking section in it's like some business plaza, some business park somewhere that I have to do, that I would have to do to get to like the other bus. I'm like, this isn't good. This is so bad. But, I mean, yeah, that's extremely dependable. My dad is blind. Oh, really? Okay. Okay. No, I didn't know your dad was blind. Okay. Yeah. No, like my mom used to work for the transit system for years, like almost 20 years. That's like where she retired from. So, yeah, no, I'm glad. Like it's always nice to hear when people, take public transit. But that's great. That's great that your dad has been able to get around. Since coming to America, has used public transit, has never had issues.
That's really good. Yeah.
Yeah. And he must save so much money not having to own a car.
Oh, look at these stories. That's great.
Yeah.
One thing we can count on. And honestly, ironically, I don't even use transit like that. Even though I like it being accessible and expanding. I only used the metro once since moving here, and that was April. It was probably the first week of April. I had to go get a badge from the Pentagon, allegedly. Um, so I metroed from my office in like Arlington, Virginia, um, Crystal City. It's all like the same kind of city county, but and then Pentagon's also in Arlington, but um, Pentagon City, I guess, is like it's like a separate area. But it's only two metro stops. Like it's very very easy. It's just that trying to park near there is a pain because you would have to have like a pass or they could inspect your car. I don't even know if you can park right there by the Pentagon, but you can find like a public place by the Pentagon City Mall, which is very visitor friendly. But then that's like a 10-minute walk. I tried doing that one day, and I was like, "This is." I couldn't even end up getting there on time, so I was like, "We're not doing that again." So I just budgeted the time, went to my office, then took the 2-minute metro, and so that's literally the only time I took the metro since I moved back to Maryland last year, May. Um, Speaking of anniversaries, and I may have mentioned this already, but May 1st was my 1 year anniversary of being here, And so that's something I'm still kind of reflecting on, is the 1 year change and not having to move for once, because I'm always like a perpetual mover, which is not great. It's actually kind of sucks moving, but I think I always had a good reason to, just based on the apartments where I lived or situations I was in. Um, but yeah, so I remember with the public transit, that was the only time I used it. And then even before that, since COVID, I hadn't used it, except I came home for one President's Day weekend. I don't even get the day off. My new job I do, but my last job I didn't. But I had to like go home to take these family pictures. High key kind of salty about it because I was home for like the winter, and because like people caught COVID, which is understandable. We didn't do our family pictures then.
Mm-hmm.
Multiple people caught COVID, and so I went back to Boston. And then it was like a few weeks later, oh hey, we want to do these pictures still. I'm like, wait, if I knew that, we could have just like I could have stayed longer during the because it was during like COVID. I could keep working remotely, and we could have done pictures. So instead, I had to like come home a few weeks later uh, on like President's Day, like a month later, but still a month and a half. And so when I came home, I flew into the DC airport and I took the metro. Um, because it was very convenient. And that's the first time I went to my office in McLean, Virginia, because that was right on the metro. I will say much better than Massachusetts. Like there was a lot more expanded metro options here in DC to get into a decent amount of parts of Maryland. Like you're gonna still need to drive a lot, but it's pretty good if you just need to go from one place into DC and throughout the city. Sometimes you can get around. Sometimes you can't always get through this city with metro. At that point, you might just want to walk certain places, but it was nice. Like, even though I had like a suitcase and stuff, it was pretty small because I was there for literally just 2 days. So I had like
Mm-hmm.
my backpack, a small carry on, and literally I just like metroed from the airport to the office in McLean. And then I had my brother pick me up from there. And then my flight back, I forgot exactly what I did, but I was able to manage something to work. So I like the public transit here, even though I rarely use it. I've only used it literally, I guess, three. If you count the round trip, I've only used it twice. Um, like if you count round trip as one, I used it twice since COVID hit. And in Boston, even I basically hadn't used the T probably since COVID. Even like before COVID, I was just getting used to driving everywhere. So I just like would rather just like fight it out in the streets and find parking. I just got so used to it, and it could be a pain, and it's probably not practicing the best sustainability. But realistically, it was never going to be convenient enough where like it actually made sense to use the metro. But I still respect having it. And actually, a good conversation that we
Mm-hmm.
should have some point. Actually, this summer would be good because congestion pricing is hitting New York. I think
Oh,
starting in June.
true.
So it's something I always heard about. I think there's like a public transit administrator from Boston who like he used to be the state of Massachusetts who would like call into the radio sometimes, and I would hear him talk about congestion pricing and stuff. But that was just in theory back in like 2021, maybe 2020, even 2019. So it's like, oh wow, that actually passed in New York, and I'm a fan. I think I would say I'm a fan. It helps the people who need to drive because there's going to be less cars on the road, and then it will get money to hopefully actually expand access for New York's metro because it's like $15, which is pretty pricey. But I mean, if you're going to be driving in New York during that time, well, I feel like you kind of have to hate yourself anyway. So $15, what's the price of that? Um, are you going to look into those sold for $1? I don't know about this. No, I haven't heard about this at all, but it sounds very sketchy. So I'm gonna look into it. But um, that's the deadliest. Yeah, I looked that up too. I've seen different accounts about what's the deadliest, but the one that you mentioned has shown up on different lists. Um,
The one in
so
the one in Broward County, Florida, in South Florida.
yeah,
Yeah.
I don't remember it. I know it definitely said like Florida. It probably was Broward. I don't know if it went down that granularly, but like it was there, and I was like, oh well, wonderful. Glad that I
Mm-hmm.
share this highway. And it may have been even other parts of 95 as well, because I'm just like this road. Like I feel like it's just a disaster. Um, in various places. I mean, let's not even talk about Pennsylvania where a collapse happened, but you also have I don't know. I mean, it is what it is. It's popular. It gets used. I guess it's bound for something to happen. But like here in DC, I think 495, which is the DC Beltway, merges with 95, and both of them could be just a pain at times. Not to mention the Baltimore Washington Parkway 295, which is like 2 lanes at one point, and I'm like, thank God I use it during times that are not like I'm not commuting on it, because if you are, good luck. You're just going between two major cities that are not that close to each other. Like even without traffic, it takes you like an hour. So then, good luck with 2 lanes. Anything goes wrong, it's just yeah. Like I remember having friends who worked here or did internships here while I was like, I think I was actually in grad school at the time, so I was in upstate New York. I would see people driving on these roads, and I was like, oh my god! Like I would look and I'm like, is that Baltimore Washington Parkway? And I was like, I'm glad I'm not doing an internship here and having to like go between these areas. I'm sure they didn't live in the city of Baltimore going to DC, but even in just if you're in the suburbs and you have to go on that road, it's just a pain. And so I'm like, oh no, like this is not it. But apparently, my sister, because I went home for Mother's Day weekend, and my sister was telling me, telling us that I guess some people have actually used the train. Not like there's a light rail called Mark, which I've heard of people using before. I used it once to go from Southern Maryland to Baltimore. One time when I was home for like either a break from school or even working full time before COVID. But I heard that people were taking Amtrak from Baltimore or from DC to Baltimore, and I was like, wow, because apparently it was very cheap and it was actually very quick. So I was like, props, honestly. Like, if you can make it work, go for it. Like, I had never heard of that, but I was like, that makes sense because Union Station is a huge station in DC, and Baltimore has Penn Station, which I've used before. Not to go to DC, but actually coming from upstate New York, I've done the fun 7-hour train ride, um, not including the layover. So yeah. Anyways, just some reminiscent of transportation and stuff. And if the country can get its life together, and I think Biden announced something about investing in Amtrak. We'll see what that actually has turned into, what it turns into. But that would be pretty dope if you can correct what is not correct right now with speed and just actual function, and then being
Mm.
able to expand on top of correcting the things that are sort of not efficient. Because maybe I would even take Metro or Amtrak more, because I wouldn't mind even like going to Boston with the Amtrak. I actually considered doing it very seriously. I ended up flying, which had its own sort of pain points, but um, at least it's more, it's something that I'm just used to. But with if you could take the train more places, I think that would be a beautiful thing. Hopefully, in our 5-year anniversary, we we could have some better stories about transit, in taking the train places. Um, I'm off. It's $15 each way. Just go work as well. Yeah, no. 450 a month. No. Um,
Yeah, it would
absolutely.
be, yeah, it would actually be 600 because it's $30 a day. 30 times 5 is 150. 150 times 4 is 600.
Yeah, I'm gonna look into it again. I think it was $15, but it's like very specific blocks. So it's like from some street downwards. So that's gonna be like what, Midtown, downtown, part of Midtown, and probably all of downtown New York. Um, and then it's only during certain hours. So it's like hopefully, you know, like people who are thankfully, gratefully in my kind of role, and I would say L for you too, where you have at least some hybrid schedule, that would at least help a lot. Where if you only have to go in once a week, and let's say you just have to like go in and drive, then at least you're just paying the $15, I guess $30 a week, and so that still does suck for a month. That's still like $120, which is no trivial amount.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
That's a
but
bill.
it's much, yeah. That's a like yeah like, but hopefully if you can get like different ways of cutting down, or maybe more companies will be flexible when they see this and they might want to retain their talent, so maybe it'll even help shift the New York City landscape of like people who are trying to force people to come back into the office. It's like, actually, no, maybe not, maybe no, actually no. um Hopefully that the congestion pricing I think is good. Like I think even though there's going to be some complaints about it, I think
Of course,
it'll
yeah.
hopefully shift things going in the right direction for building better transportation and encouraging people to use the transportation that exists.
Yeah.
But I saw an article, and I think Chad, you would love this. It was an article about DC Metro and how like we either won awards or like basically there was like a spotlight of how like it's like one metro in the country decided something radical, invest in their public transportation, even like when it wasn't popular per se, because it was coming out of the pandemic. They were like, we don't know what the return is going to be on this, and so it was like a very good use case of like you can't treat it like a business where you're like you need to like maximize how you can get the money out of it. You just have to invest in it because otherwise, if you don't invest in it, you're not going to have the ridership that you need. And so it's like a self fulfilling prophecy of like doom if you don't invest in it. And so they said like how like there've been very good like stories of people who are using it more. Rideship has like returned, if not exceeded, pre-pandemic levels. I think
Mm,
they still made the hours a bit different. It's not quite as late as it used to be, but it was never also meant to be a late night train service. Like even Boston, they would go to like 1:30, so maybe not quite as late as all those nightlife spots close, but it's late enough that you could go out to a nice bar and get home safely. Um, but DC is like 11 on some nights. I don't even know if it goes up to 12 fully. So you have to be really conscious of when you come back from DC. And so some people have thought of making it like you need to reimagine that this is not the traditional 9 to 5 anymore. That DC is. A lot of people work in hybrid remote, especially in like tech heavy areas like Northern Virginia. A lot of government contractors like mine, which a lot of people work remote or hybrid. So it's like you have to really understand that the landscape has changed pretty drastically, and you can't just look at the DC Metro as being for commuters when most people don't commute traditionally anyway. You need to
mm,
look at it as being more of a cultural hub, like people using it to go to museums. I mean, a lot of that stuff is during business hours or on the weekend. It's not business hours, but it is to maybe 4 or 5, 6 p.m. But there still are other reasons. There's like the happy hours. You have to like keep in mind that like people are going to use it during other hours. I don't know if they are going to entertain a really late night option, but hopefully they're going to at least understand that there needs to be at least because they have like peak off peak hours and they kind of base it off of like a 9 to 5 where the peak hours would be like what you imagine rush hour would be for drive-in, both going and like coming back. And then you have like off peak hours and where it's cheaper. The rates are not very straightforward. It's just like literally, it's almost like any two train stations have a different rate. It's not flat. Like you have to kind of see what the rate is from a given station to any other given station, um, and then load the money accordingly. But it's like um, if you're basing that model off of a 9 to 5, well, now the peak hours might be different. Maybe the whole thing could be scrapped or changed. I don't know. I think there were some interesting conversations about what people might want to do to transform the way the DC Metro is viewed. But like, they've already done the first good step of investing, and now I think it's politically easy to fund because there was a point where it's like it was easy for the to be on the chopping block, and I'm sure Chad, you, and a lot of us know that that's too easy to just like cut transit, especially for like federal. It's kind of popular to say we don't want federal dollars to go towards this, but now it's like become such a necessary good that DC, Maryland, Virginia lawmakers are going to be like, no, we need the money for this metro because it's a politically powerful kind of tool versus being like a liability that's easily to cut. And so if I find the article, I'll post it in the Discord because it did like a pretty good job explaining how the DC Metro and how they're able to fund it is it should be a good model that other cities could look at in other regions to just like suck it up, pay the money because you're going to get the returns, not maybe in the fares 100%, but like you'll kind of get it in the ridership and just people wanting to use the city and trying to like revitalize these areas. So anyway, that was just something I thought of and I thought it was pretty cool. Um, oops. Yeah. Also, I realized my
mm.
name must have auto corrected, or I think I changed it.
Oh, that could have been me. I may have.
it could have changed. It's not the biggest thing. I just realized it right now. I was like, instead of doing 2-3, I was like 2B. I was like
Ah,
O, comma BE, comma 4
Mm.
years. It was very on the fly. I was like, this is gonna be is my way of counting up using my
yeah.
name.
Yeah, I
Um,
like that. 1 to be 4 years though. My bad.
no, it's okay. Because I wasn't sure if it was even on my end that I just like, but I saw it in the other chat right now. Actually, when I was typing, I was like, oh wait a second, it shows the name there. Then I looked in my panel. I was like, oh, so clearly I wasn't paying attention enough anyway. So, but
Um, yeah. I know that each year, we count up, but tonight we got to make that countdown to the end of the
Mhm.
stream. Yeah. Like we love y'all. We couldn't do this
always,
without y'all. But
Yes.
it is still a Tuesday,
yes, it
and
is.
we are all on the East Coast, so it's 11:09.
Almost 11:11.
Yeah.
Sheesh.
But yeah, no, thank you all so much for joining us on our 4-year part 1. Our part 2 anniversary will come in 2 weeks. So that'll be the beginning of
Yes.
June, if my math serves me.
Mhm. Math.
Yeah. But yeah, no, thank you all so much for joining us. As always, you can join us in the Discord. I'll be adding the the invite. So please join us. So because I understand that 2 weeks is a long time, but the Discord makes it a lot shorter. And if you have any ideas for any other streams, definitely let us know, because we love you all. And we gotta highlight Rocky's last comment because I'm pretty sure I don't think we did.
Also, I wish I knew what Gil what you're referring to with the Zelda thing. I realized that was something, and you could message it in the Discord as well if you don't have time to type it here. But if anyone knew what that was about, I had meant to ask earlier um, what the Zelda reference was about. Um,
Yeah, yeah, I was confused too. For a second, I thought it was he meant to message that to somebody else.
oh yeah, that could be
I
the case.
don't
Um,
know. It's like
the only other thing I was going to mention was and Al, you kind of alluded to it. If we have any ideas, let us know. I would say also since it's our part 2, today we kind of just talked about whatever and we recapped our kind of favorite moments and stuff. But I think it would be really cool too to be like, what do we want to see in part 4? And of course, the Discord's open. Ideas and feedback are open. But for
Do you
year
mean
4, did I
do you
say part
mean
4?
yeah, do you mean year
You
4?
said part
Oh,
4.
oh gosh.
We're just gonna keep celebrating all of June.
Dude, part 3,
I
part 4. Oh yeah, that
mean,
actually would end up like, yeah. No, what I meant, actually that's funny because yeah, I think there actually would be 3 weeks: the 4th, the 18th, and the 25th. Or okay, whatever. It still work. It still kind of comes close. But I meant um for year 4, if you guys kind of want to see kind of what you're looking forward to, and we I think ourselves could also lead into that what we are looking forward to
Mm-hmm.
in year 4, or technically it would be year 5, um, but yeah, it would be what we're looking forward to in the 5th year.
Mm-hmm.
So let us know in the Discord. Let us know in real life. Well, what am I saying real life? But
Yeah.
and that's yeah, yeah.
If you, I don't know, happen to see one of us in real life, let us know.
I was like, it's like, however it works.
Right?
Um, but yeah,
Yeah.
that's all for me.
Yes. Yes, I like that idea of like the future thought. Definitely. But yes, thank you all so much for joining us for our 4th year anniversary, and we'll see y'all in 2 weeks for part 2. 4.
2 weeks for part 2. Boom, boom.
Yes. All right, y'all. Good night.
Good night.
Peace.